Hi, a couple of weeks ago, I have gotten to color a pretty cool music video that I'm also very proud of, and that the team is very proud of. So I wanted to share, the process of it, how I colored the whole thing, what was the brief, how I got the job, and note tree setup, the ultimate note tree setup, and stuff like that. So I think it would be pretty cool. I think it would be pretty helpful also to me, so that I get to, see how unorganized I worked with all that thing. So let's go. Okay, a couple of notes before we start actually. The music video is for a local Berlin artist called Allanwhy. It's a pretty cool music. The music video, I'm gonna link it here or like down below the like button, so you can check it out. It's for a local artist, again, named Allanwhy. I actually pretty much like the song. It gives me like Tom Misch vibes, which I really enjoy. It was shot on Mini LF, and I believe a mix of Zeiss Sienna and contact Zeiss lenses, but I'm gonna check that again and then I'll put it on the screen right now. I've gotten a job through Instagram actually. It's pretty cool because I follow a lot of like directors and producers and DOPs and stuff like that, and like in Germany. So because I'm in Germany, and I follow a lot of people. And one of the directors had like a Instagram story of like, "Hey, we're looking for a colorist for a cool music video," and I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna write. They're not gonna answer anyway." And after like 2 hours later, I was like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna write to them. They're gonna get me." And then I wrote to them, and the next day they answered. They're like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." So they sent me like mood board, and they sent me like a briefing. It was very much like a cleaner white look, but with that like baby blue and that red of like boxing red in focus. So that was going to be that. From the mood board and from the shot deck, you can see there was a lot of like this like 500T look, but cleaner 500T look. This is what I would explain that look as. And in the briefing, they said it would be a 16mm inspired look. And as an example, they gave this video and a couple of shots from that. So it was a pretty good like visual example of what they had in mind. And I could also think of, okay, I know what I'm going to do, because it was also very clear in my head. Okay, so 16mm look, heavier grain, softer look. I had in my mind, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use F1 from Blaine Westrup with 529, because that I think is look very similar to that, or could look very similar to that. So that was how I went with it. The workflow is a cool thing to share, I think, because before I did this, I did not know like, okay, how's gonna be delivery and all that jazz. So kind of getting to understand that, and I think I can share it a little bit. I don't know if everyone does it like this, but this was how we did it. I received all the footage, all the ProRes footage. It was shot in ProRes RAW, not Arri RAW. I received all that and an XML file so that I could, export it all to Davinci, which I did. For the first revision, I did a ProRes 422 pass so that we could take a look at the grain too. I used Frame.io and uploaded it to Frame.io, and then they could take a look at that, and then, they could comment on the grain, on the halation, because grain doesn't really work super well with the H.265 footage, so I thought ProRes footage would be good, at least for the first revision. So it's too much, it's too little, and everything like that, without that all that compression. The other ones I delivered in H.265 because we had the grain and stuff down, so it could be a little more space efficient. So I did that. For the final delivery, I turned off all the text and whatever the stuff that they had, and I just did a ProRes 444 pass, and then I rendered that and I uploaded that, which was a fucking huge file. And it took a long while to upload too, but that was the whole workflow, which I think is important because, again, for the first time, I did not know, and as time goes by, you get used to it, which I think is a good thing to talk about, because not a lot of people talk about that. And then the first time you're going to do that thing, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And then, you'll learn as you go, but it's important to talk about. But without further ado, Davinci time. All right, so I want to start with the color management and everything like that. So the whole thing was Rec 799A, and then output color space the same as timeline. I did not bother with Davinci wide gamut because this is just one camera. I didn't want to do the whole thing, so no color management going on in there. And then timelines, color space, and output color space. I'm on MacBook, so this works just fine. And I didn't have a need to change everything or anything. Other than that, everything's the same, 16 by 9. Pretty straightforward. So everything you're seeing here, again, I did get it from the editor as a DRX file, and then just imported everything, and then it was just there. I just relinked everything. And yes, so these adjustment layers, I'm gonna come back to that, but let's start with this shot, and then I'll show you the whole note setup first. Everything I did was, first of all, on the clip level, and then on a group level. So I grouped everything together. I just didn't do a timeline grade because there are some text elements and stuff in the adjustment layer, so I just didn't want them to affect that. So I grouped everything together, like every clip, I grouped them together, and then this is that thing. So everyone has the same look, have the same LUTs, same grain, same vignette, same warmth, same halation, same softness, so that we don't have like those continuity errors. So I can just show you how it actually looked with just the CST. So this was the CST look. What I went ahead and did was said, okay, I'm gonna go with F1 529. Let F1 log C 529. So Rec 709 to 529. This was the difference. I think this gets me closer to the look that I want, that they need. So it was the first thing that I did. And then adding the effects, the halation, the grain, the softness, which now that I know I could go a little bit of softer, but because, you know, it was supposed to be a 16 millimeter kind of look. We had the vignette, we had the warmth, and then directly you can see how much it changes from like Rec 709 to just this, how much this whole thing changes. And then after that, what I did was go at everything on a clip level to fix the exposure, fix the balance issues, fix the colors and, you know, masking and stuff like that. But I try to keep everything as simple as possible, because simple is good. Keep it simple. Stupid is one of the things that I live by. In some clips this was possible. In some other clips you're gonna see like so much going on, which I'm not really a fan of, but you know, it is what it is. So I fixed the exposure here just a little bit. The most important thing is going to be the white balance here, and then just, you know, the whole thing, how the balance changes. You can see in the vector scopes too. And then I'll add a bit of a teal and orange and everything, the classic stuff. You can see the kind of is a little bit of a balance issue, so I just add a bit of a tint here, and then contrast, and then some saturation, and then saturation really fixed some skin tones issues that I had. And we kind of went from like this, like just straight Rec 709 look, to basically this. Now that I think of it, we can just do a quick little experiment, and then we can take a look. This is the Rec 709, like CST R log C to Rec 709, and this would be with the F1 529. There's a bit of a difference because I would have, of course, gone differently at it, the whole clip-based adjustments, but also don't look too bad. But again, like this is what project required for me, so I went ahead with that. This is one of my favorite shots also, fun fact. But this is basically how I went with every clip. So I'm going to show you this too, because this is basically the same. And I just had this roll off here because I thought that it was just a little too much, and then the continuity didn't feel super right. Maybe I was wrong, maybe I was right. I don't know, but it just felt right in that moment. We can go to this one because this one's also pretty cool. Let's turn everything off. So this is the straight Rec 709 look. And what I did was, again, these effects, and then you immediately get a different look. And then same stuff is gonna happen here. So we had pulled it down a little, a bit of roll off, tint and white balance stuff. So this is the edges node because it's a zoom out, and around the edges you can see that it was a little too warm, and I added a little bit of blue so that, you know, it was a bit more balanced image. And then this, we can use that, a contrast node and a saturation node. Again, saturation node fixes a lot of the issues that I had with the skin tones. Voila, from this to this. Okay, from this to this in a few steps, in not complicated few steps. So let me show you my favorite shot. This is my absolute favorite shot. Let's just do the same thing. So this is basically the Rec 709 look. And then what we did was do the classic stuff, and then we add our adjustments to it, which I can show you the adjustments. So exposure, everything's happening in the HDR wheels, which what I did here was just pull the shadows up a little bit because it was just a little too dark, I thought. So I just pulled them up a little. We added our primaries, again, classic stuff, shadows and highlights a little bit. White balance, so it just fixes the some of the balance issues here. Add a little bit of contrast, add a little bit of saturation. Contrast is just, actually remove contrast, cool. And some saturation stuff, you can see, voila. It just, we went from this to this in a couple of quick moves. We have also, we have to say, it was just shot good. Especially this shot, it was shot really well. So, whatever I do, I'm not going to make it worse. I'm just going to try to make it a little better. But it was a good scene that was shot really nice. So, okay. So, a couple more shots. This is the kind of same shot, same stuff going on. Just opening that up a little bit and then fixing the balance issues, and then the contrast and saturation a little bit. So these are basically the same shot. The tint, you can see, does a lot for the balance. Let's take a look at a shot that was really complicated and that was really, oh God, no, I didn't even organize this. That was a really hard shot. We can take a look at this. I organized this at least. It's basically the same thing, which you can see I didn't really do a great job on matching these now that I take a look at it again, which is kind of a shame, but oh yeah, gotta be okay with that, I think. A lot of stuff going on. Again, the same stuff that we've had here, this would be out of the camera Rec 709 look, which, I had to do a lot with this one. I'm not gonna lie, with this shot, I had to do a lot, change a lot. And it wasn't that easy. It really wasn't that easy. So the first thing we do, open the shot up. It was just too dark for what it was, way too dark. So we have to open it up. We add a little bit of white balance, cold, the blue to it, and then the contrast to it and saturation to it. So this was the basic stuff that I did with every clip. And now what we have to do is add the other stuff, which, fix the red in here, especially. That was very important, and add a little bit of a mask so that, we kind of, I'm not gonna say fix it, but kind of make it easier to focus, which I could have gone harder on masks, to be honest with you. But these were the two masks that I did. There's another shot which I'm gonna show you that has a lot more masks. So what I did was, again, reds. I have to try to fix the reds, right? So red there a little bit, adding a magenta tint a little bit, trying to fix the reds again. So these stuff is just to fix those reds and, fix the balance issues that comes when you're fixing those reds. And I played a lot with the qualifier tool, which is really great. And then, trying to add, let's take a look. You can see I added that a little bit, and a lot with color slice, which color slice tool is just such a lifesaver, man. Such a lifesaver tool, really. Again, qualifier stuff, and then some curve stuff, which I believe, hue versus saturation. You can see that does a lot. That just, the last note does a lot. Again, this was actually a very hard shot. This was really the shot where I was like, oh, it's not easy. Yeah, we can take a look at this one too. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You have to see this like this. As you can see, at the first clips start always with such a good organization. Oh my God, it's so beautiful organization, blah blah. And then when you get to end clips and then the hard clips, it's just the organization goes out the flies out the window, which kind of sucks in a way. But it is what it is. So I'm going to try, for your sake, to just. Okay, so this is a clean, organized version. Let's take a look at, again, the Rec 709 version of the whole thing, just so that we can see. Again, first things we do, the effects, and I'm just gonna add exposure, and then every other node. What is happening is basically the same. Me just trying to fix those reds and then the color balance issues. So what we start with everything is this primary contrast, white balance and saturation node, which kind of gets everything to the same level so that's good. And then everything else, trying to balance, trying to have this, like, these are the masks, by the way. Should have gone with parallel nodes there too. Trying to fix that, those reds and balance issues that I have, which kind of like everything I went through in this clip, so I'm just not going to go over them again. I want to show a couple more clips. There are some harder clips to do. So the first shot, the opening shot, which you think, oh, this looks pretty cool, this looks good. But the thing was, it did look good. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they shot well. Nothing against them. It just looked really different, and they really wanted to get rid of this yellow, and then the turquoise stuff should have turned to like baby blue. So it was kind of the hard thing was just there. So this was the Rec 709 look that we're getting, right? We can go with everything, the LUTs, the effects and everything. And then what I did, again, fix the exposure way too dark. So I had to like put it up a little bit, by a lot, I mean. So fix the primary stuff and the white balance. That white balance does a lot here. Primaries, not a lot, but you can see that it does a little bit. White balance, a lot. And then, the tint issues. And then I masked some stuff. You can see how the balance changes, but I could have done even more, honestly, like here a little bit more. Now that I know, now that everything's done. Adding contrast and saturation is important, like contrast adding or like removing contrast, which I did remove contrast here a little bit. Adding a bit of saturation and density to everything is very important. That you can see here. And the last fix was the yellows, which, this yellow here, this was a bit of a problem. At the end, I kind of fixed it with a mask that also moves with me. But I'm 70% happy with it, so that's pretty good. But we took this from this to this, so it's just quite a difference, I think. Pretty good. The one shot that I want to talk about, which was absolutely took a day. Like, this took me, we did like 4 days, but kind of like 4 half days, so 2 full days of grading with these shots, because like this is a match shot and I have to match these two, and my god, that was hard. Like, my god, that was hard. So I kind of had to do a little bit of trickery there, even though the editor didn't have this like adjustment clip or the fade in fade out. I had to do a little bit of a trickery there to get those to match, because again, dude, that was hard, man. That was hard, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Let's take a look at this. This was again a very, very hard shot, and I kind of managed it to the best of my abilities at the time, and now too, I think. I mean, if we look at it, I don't know. Now that I know where the line is, so I can tell, but other than that, I don't think you can tell. Let's turn everything off for this one. Oh yeah, so this is the struggle, right? So you have 2 shots that you need to match. So again, how I went with it is, first of all, our clip, like our master level, comes first. So this is that level. We can see that there's a big difference between those 2 clips. So how I want to go with this was kind of like clear to me, but also clear to me. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna pick this shot, the left shot, and say I'm gonna grade this, and then I'm gonna match the right one. So that's kind of what I did, adding the same stuff, the white balance and contrast and saturation and color balance and all that jazz, and then fixing basically the first shot is what I did. And then comes the other ones, and these are the masks, but we're gonna get to them because I have to first fix this shot. I thought, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing here and go to this shot, and then these have the same adjustments on them, and now we have to go to masks, and then we have to match them with masks and in certain areas with certain tones and stuff like that. So that comes in. We have our offset levels, we have our kind of like primary adjustments that you can see here that just turns, which even with this you can see that it matches a little bit, but there's a bit of a difference in here and in the lamp, and you can clearly see a line in the middle. So what I'm gonna do is again try to mitigate that. First node comes in at the top to try to match those 2 together, and then second node comes in and tries to fix those windows, and there's quite a bit of difference with those, so that's pretty good that it did that. And then we have our general, again, color balance there, which kind of matches it a little better. And then we go to this one, which, what does this do? Let's see. Yes, we have a gradient that kind of gets it to a level that we want with the offset. And then we have in the middle a again a color balance kind of a thing that kind of matches those two and blends those two together, and then kind of get to this. And then we can take a look at these guys. So I'll turn on everything, because this was kind of like fixing this shot more than kind of matching it to this shot, because you know it needed to be a little brighter and everything like that. At the end, did I do the best job of matching it? No. But am I happy with it? Given the time, given the constraints that it had, I totally am. So I would say I'm like 70% happy with this. And you know, you can still see that, but I think it got better. I think it got to like a good level of being able to see everything. Like, you know, kind of thinking, oh, this could have been, yeah, one shot. Oh yeah, okay. Do I have anything more now that I think of it? I can show you this shot. This shot was also kind of pretty hard. I don't know why, but it kind of went pretty hard. Let's just turn on the CST now and just turn everything off. This was like this. Oh yeah, this was why it was hard. It was very, very, very orange. And again, what we do, the first thing we do, turn our look on so that, you know, I can grade under that look. Again, fixing our exposure and then fixing our classic contrast, saturation, and, you know, the balance issues. And then we still have a lot of balance issues. So this shot kind of had to match to this shot, and then where he falls down and then looks up, and then, you know, it has to kind of match that. So everything I did was just, you know, trying to match those two together, and then bam, 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 a little bit of masking there, here. The skin tones was a little hard with this one, and then here, voila, voila, and voila. Because like with this one, you can see that there's a lot of like reds on skin tones, so I kind of had to take them out. Maybe I went a little too hard on that, but I guess it looked fine. And then, you know, it kind of gets it to this level, which I think is an acceptable level, is a fine level. And you know, again, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. If I say it one more time, you'll believe me. I'm happy with it, but I truly am. Okay, let's just get to my outro. I think it was helpful. I hope it was helpful. It was helpful to me, actually, to see what I've done beforehand. And now, you know, I get to take a look at my organization and go, oh my God, that was really bad. For the color management, yes, I did not go with a whole color managed workflow. But again, it was just one camera. It was all mini LF. So I didn't see the need to do that, and I know like how that works, so I was like very comfortable in that. It's a pretty cool thing. It was a pretty cool project. So I've linked the video again down there. I've linked the team down there, so the director, producer, you know, DOP, the artist, everyone is down there, so you can check them out if you want. I'd like to thank them again for letting me work on this project. It was very fun, and it was a very fun breakdown to do right now too. So if you liked it, likes everywhere, comments, subs, ooh, pew, pew, pew. I appreciate that. And there's a lot more stuff. There's a lot really cool stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks, which I'm very excited about. So stay tuned. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess I should just close it and go. Peace. Bye. Okay. This